It's a good group of boys. We're all gonna die together out here.
Hey everyone, welcome to UK Media Warrior. Kong Skull Island is the second movie in the Lionsgate Monsterverse that they are creating, along with Godzilla, which we've already seen a year or so ago. Now, there's been a lot of hype for this film. Obviously, it's a reimagining of the whole King Kong myth and legend that we've had in previous movies, many previous movies, the most latest being Peter Jackson's adaptation of the story, which wasn't too bad. It's okay. This one, this one wasn't as good as the Peter Jackson one, in my opinion. It had a lot hanging on it. Obviously, Lionsgate want to make this, Legendary want to make this this MonsterVerse successful. They're really hyping the upcoming King Kong versus Godzilla fight, which should be epic. I mean, there's no way around that. But this film was very hit and miss. It had an all-star cast. I mean, other than obviously King Kong, which if you put his name on the top of any movie, you're going to get people in the audience. But I mean, you had Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson. You had John Goodman, who actually I thought John Goodman was pretty good in this film. He wasn't in it overly much when the movie actually started, but you know, when the action started to rev up. But for what he was in there, I thought he was pretty good. I thought he was one of probably the best actors in it. I mean, when you put it up against the ones I've already mentioned, you know, Tom Hiddleston, Loki, I mean, that guy is a fantastic actor. Brie Larson is probably one of the best female actresses out there at the moment. And Samuel L. Jackson is a legend in his own lifetime. And yet, even with those three actors, John Goodman's character portrayal was better. It was more grounded. It felt more real, I suppose, if you want to put it in those terms. And I think that's the problem with this film. Kong was fantastic. How he looked was amazing. And while he was on screen, all you could do was watch him. The fights he had were phenomenal. I mean, there really were fantastic fights. I mean, the fight that you see King Kong have with the T-Rexes in Peter Jackson's film is held up as perhaps one of the best ones that King Kong's ever been in, and rightfully so. The fights you see in this one, where he's fighting creatures, seem, if possible, slightly more brutal, more visceral, more bloody. So yeah, I mean, Kong ticks all the boxes. You can't fault this film for not giving you King Kong. It gives you it in spades. The humans, however, are just so underplayed. They're just one-dimensional characters. The lines they're given to speak, I mean, like I say, you've got an all-star cast here, but the reason they don't pop off the screen is because they're all playing two-dimensional characters we've seen so many times before. They're just stereotypes. And what they're given to say, the writing, the script, it's just not that good. I mean, the lines feel like they've come from a B-movie plot line, maybe. I mean, even Tom Hiddleston and Samuel L. Jackson can't get past the fact that they are simply playing cut-and-paste characters from hundreds of other films that you've already seen. They can't do anything to enrich their characters because they're not given anything. I mean, Tom Hiddleston, for example, plays this ex-SAS tracker. Of course, he would have to be ex-Special Forces because all these heroes nowadays in these films have to be that. It's like, got to tick that box, right? Fine. But all he really gets to do is shoot a few things. You know, he has one scene at the very start of the film where he shows off some unarmed combat martial arts crap, which makes him look like a SAS soldier. But other than that, he's no better than the other soldiers that you see in this film. His tracking survival specialities, you never really see them. They don't. I mean, every now and then he says, "Okay, we need to go in this direction. Okay, what's that land mass is over in that direction, and the helicopter you're searching for, oh, that's over there somewhere. You know, follow me." And that's pretty much it. He doesn't do anything to make you think that, oh, this is a really excellent tracker that they've been telling us he is. He doesn't get to do any of that. He gets to do a few heroic poses standing on rocks which looks so cheesy. It actually made me laugh when I saw him standing. It was like, yeah, you know. And I thought, oh my God, were you directed to do that, Tom? Really? I mean, I can't imagine you'd have done it any other way, but if he was, and that is... Ugh. Brie Larson plays a war photographer. Now, at the beginning of the film, there's one mention that Samuel L. Jackson says that, oh, you've been in country in Vietnam, you've been in the war, and she says yes, and that's it. That's pretty much it. That's the depth of her character. Other than that, she just walks around taking photos, and that's pretty much it. She's not a damsel in distress because she never actually gets in the situation where she's in any more distress than anybody else. She doesn't really need to be saved at all at any point in this film, but she doesn't do anything other than wander around, smiling, taking photos. That's it. That's it. Samuel L. Jackson, he basically plays a Vietnam colonel that you've probably seen in Apocalypse Now and Platoon and any other Vietnam film you care to mention. This film leans so heavily on Vietnam-era war films that it might as well just been called that. You know, it might have been called Apocalypse Ape, maybe, or something like that. I mean, the soundtrack is ripped straight out of the 70s, which is fine because it's a fantastic soundtrack, but it's like there's a new song playing every 5 to 10 minutes. It's like a constant roll call of hits from the 70s, which is a little bit distracting. Luckily, about halfway through the film, the radio gets destroyed and you don't have to hear that anymore, which is, it's not a good thing because I like the music. But it was just a bit weird that you got a new song every 5 to 10 minutes. It was like, okay, time for a new 70s. Let's get those songs in and then we can sell the soundtrack for lots of money. That's how it comes across. It's like shoved down your throat. But this film also suffered from other weird aspects. King Kong seems to fluctuate in size. I mean, he's bigger than, I think, any King Kong we've ever seen before. But when you first see him, that famous the shot you see of him in the poster where he's silhouetted against the sun, you actually do get to see that. And he looks like he's taller than the mountains around him. And the helicopters are flying towards him. But then in the next shot, all the mountains are taller than him. And he's sort of like standing in this valley and everything's taller than him. So he's shrunk quite a bit. And then in other shots, he looks even shorter. A little bit shorter still. And then in other shots, he's bigger again. And it's tough to tell exactly how high this gorilla ape, whatever it is. It's just a bit weird. Another thing is the amount of helicopters that are available to this team. Okay, at the beginning of the film, you see they're taking this freighter to the island, and you see a few shots of the tanker sailing through the ocean, and in the middle, on the top deck, you see 3 Huey helicopters parked next to each other, and on the back of the ship, you see a slightly bigger Huey helicopter. So that's four ships, 4 helicopters, sorry, on this freighter. And it doesn't look like it'd be big enough to carry anything else. And it on its own, there's only one freighter. Okay. So when the helicopters finally lift off to go to the island, you see these 4 helicopters depart the freighter. And in the next shot, there's like a dozen helicopters. And you're like, well, where did all these helicopters come from? They weren't on that one ship. There was nowhere for them to be. There's only one ship out here. So where the hell did all these helicopters come from? And then in another shot, a bit later down the line, after they've got through the storm that surrounds the island, there's 2 big Chinook helicopters, double-bladed, big transport helicopters. Where did they come from? They weren't in the first shot where they're on the ship. They weren't in the second shot where you saw like a dozen Huey helicopters. And now all of a sudden you've got a dozen Huey helicopters and these 2 great big helicopter transports. Sea King helicopters, I think they were called. But where did they come from? It's just not. It's just like somebody said, okay, well, we've got this freighter. How many helicopters can we park in this freighter? Well, it's only that big, so the size of the Huey. You could probably put 3 on the deck, 1 on the bow, and that'd be good. But we need more than that. You know, we need to make this fight with Kong later on down the line. We need to make it look good. Yes, destroy lots of things. So we need more than that. Well, oh, don't worry about it. We'll just write in later on down the line that there's like a dozen helicopters. You know, nobody's going to worry about where they came from. We'll just see they're there. So that seems to be what they do. But it hits you in the face. It's like you see these 4 helicopters take off from the ship. There's obviously no other helicopters on the ship. And then literally in the next cut, you see this mass of helicopters towards the island. And it's like, it just hits you in the face. You can't understand it. One other thing, and this isn't necessarily a downside because it's been done a lot of times before, but as I was watching this film, I got a feeling that I was watching Aliens vs Predator. Now, for those of you who have seen that film, you're going to understand what I'm saying here, but basically in King Kong, you've got a group made up of half civilian scientists and half military who are there to protect the scientists. You've got this elite tracker survivalist who's there to keep everybody safe. And you've got this old man who's sort of like leading the team, who everybody thinks is a little bit mad. And then slowly, one by one, they're all picked off by creatures in this mysterious lost place that somebody's just located by a satellite. Oddly enough, they were both located by a satellite. So very strongly resembles Aliens vs Predator in that regard. But then I suppose you could say Aliens vs Predator ripped that idea off of the original King Kong films, where a group go to the island and they're made up of scientists and, you know, sailors who are there to protect them with guns. And I don't know. I mean, like I say, it's this concept has been done before. But it just struck me really hard when I was watching the film. I was like thinking, this is Aliens vs Predator. This is really weird. It's just take out the aliens and the predators, put in King Kong and some weird creatures, and it's pretty much the same film. So there you go. So there's some downsides. Like I say, the pluses are King Kong looks fantastic. The fights are incredible, although the final fight, I do feel goes a little bit too far. You know those fights where it's really hard and you're not sure the good guy's going to win, and it goes on for a while, and then finally the good guy gets in the last hit and you think, yes, he's won, fantastic. And then a second later the bad guy comes back again, and there's another brief, brutal fight, and the good guy gets another hit, and you think, God, thank God, that's it, okay, that's it, he's won this time. And then it goes to a nice quiet bit where the good guy is standing up, he's exhausted, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then the bad guy comes back again. That's what happens in this one. And it's not needed. It's like one punch too much. It's like we didn't need the bad guy coming back again. You know, he got so badly damaged over the course of the fight. We were happy with the fact that he was dead on like the second or third attempt. We didn't need him to come back for another round. I think they just went a little bit too far. Samuel L. Jackson, unfortunately, in this film just gets to do a lot of moody staring and basically playing Ahab, and King Kong is his white whale, and that's pretty much all he gets to do. It's a waste of his talent. So overall, the film, it's almost 50-50. King Kong does make up for a lot of the deficiencies in the film, but not all of them. So it's an okay film. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And I'm going to look forward to the Godzilla King Kong fight that's coming up in the future. That should be pretty cool. So you guys take care. I'll see you for another review soon. But in the meantime, look after yourselves. See you later. Bye.